growing pains won't be seen tonight, so we can bring you a very special episode of The Gen X-Files. Welcome to The Gen X-Files. I'm Jim.
I'm Adam.
And today's show is all about
Only the Lonely.
Only the lonely.
Bow, 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 bow,
Only the lonely.
bow, 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 bow.
Roy Orbison was all over the 90s, man.
I have a secret. I really don't like Roy Orbison.
It's not much of a secret.
It's funny because my dad is literally my dad's favorite performing artist of all time.
Really?
Roy Orbison. And yeah, whatever reason, but for some reason I just found his voice to be very grating.
Yeah. Well, it's, everybody loves Neil Young, and it's nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah. See, I don't mind Neil Young. Yeah. See, I don't mind that. For some reason, that's okay with me. I don't know.
Well, I just want to hear a duet between Roy Orbison and blow my brains out.
So we're both just sticking our fingers in our ears like, what is going on? Yeah.
Only the lonely.
Bam, 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 bam.
Yeah, he wore those. He had that big pompadour. When I first saw Roy Orbison, I thought he was a woman.
When I first saw Roy Orbison, I thought he was like 70 and he was like 25.
Yeah, he's an enigma.
Yeah.
Like, if anybody signed a pact with the devil, Roy Orbison.
Down those crossroads in Mississippi.
Listen to our sister podcast, Shitting on Roy Orbison. We have 460 episodes of that one.
Oh, but man. Okay, well, anyway.
Anyway, look, I adore this movie. I hadn't seen it in a long time, and seeing it again, I liked it even more.
Yeah.
It reaffirms to me what an amazing actor John Candy is.
Oh, my God.
And one of the most subtle actors and best reactors of anybody.
We talk about how you want to like sit down and like have a beer with somebody, or have a beer with an actor, or like hang out. I want to hang out with Harrison Ford and chill.
Yeah.
Like I would want to do an acting scene with John Candy.
Oh yeah.
Because it would be the most amazing thing in the world.
Especially if you're just being mean to him, because nobody's better at the sad face. I'm just gonna take all of the different reaction shots that Candy has of people making him feel horrible.
Right.
I'm gonna use that as my cry tape if I ever need to like cry on camera or something.
Yeah.
Just watch him.
He's so good.
He is, again, the opposite of Chevy Chase.
Oh, completely.
And not to, crap on Chevy Chase, but this month just reaffirms the fact to me of how amazing an artist that John Candy was.
Agreed.
The first two films, utterly forgettable, but so great and watchable because of him.
Yes.
He elevates the material. These easygoing, relaxed movies, I like to call them cozy movies.
Cozies.
Like cozy games.
Cozies.
Just kill me. No. These are cozy movies. Yeah. And the first two, at least. And they're absolutely enjoyable and watchable because of him.
I agree with you. I think if it was somebody else, they would be way forgettable.
Yes.
But he makes them memorable.
Exactly. And Only the Lonely is Chris Columbus's greatest film.
I would agree.
It is his most down-to-earth, his most relatable, his deepest.
Yeah.
His most complex.
So subtle. So amazingly subtle.
And everybody in it is great. And everybody in it, down to Spats and Doyle, have stories. They're human beings with pathos.
Fully fleshed out.
With love and loss and human beings. They aren't just there to be drunken Irish extras, They're there.
They're not Richard Crenna owning a sailboat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But Candy and Maureen O'Hara, I mean, my God. Her is
so good.
The chemistry between the two of them as mother and son is insane. Ally Sheedy is so goddamn good. And talk about subtle.
Yeah.
Her performance, I really don't know if I've ever seen a better, more realistic portrayal of introvert and shy. That first date of theirs is painful. It's literally painful to watch.
I love that. He's like, oh, so you're just shy. And she's like, no. Like, it's more than that.
Yeah.
And it's like, and the fact that she embodied that in the first half hour. And by the time that, at the end, when she's able to stand up to John Candy and just be like.
Stand up to his mom, too.
And be like, I am a human being.
Yeah.
Like, you have to treat me with respect.
Such growth.
Yeah.
So much growth throughout this movie. And Anthony Quinn, the whole bit between he and Maureen O'Hara is just adorable. It is.
Oh, my God.
Sweet, you know?
I tell you, if Anthony Quinn was talking to me that way, he would have swept me off my feet long before.
There's a reason why he had a baby in his 80s. That never had
That
charisma
guy
to spare.
Was Mr. Suave.
Johnny Riz.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. Yeah, and then it's just really fun. Again, playing a...
Yes, playing a Greek.
Playing a Greek.
Yeah.
Poor Anthony Quinn.
I know.
You know, Mexican guy forced to play a Greek for his entire life because it's over the Greek.
He buys it. I mean, he sells it really well. I mean, whatever.
He's an amazing actor. Amazing. Kevin Dunn. Kevin Dunn could have been the bad guy, the one-note crap brother.
Yeah, yeah.
But I understand where he's coming from.
Yeah,
And he comes around, and he understands, you know?
Well, this is what's amazing about this movie, is that every character is very real and relatable, because Kevin Dunn thinks he's doing what's best for his mother. He's not considering what's best for his brother.
Not at all.
But
because he's never had to.
Yes, exactly. He's never had to worry about those consequences
Right.
and never worry about actually taking care of his mother.
And John Candy's Danny Muldoon never stood up for himself. He always took the monologue. There's a lot of monologues in this movie. And usually that's a turnoff to me. But all of these monologues serve the movie well and serve the characters even better.
Yeah.
And the monologue that Candy has about having to take care of the family, and he had to become a cop because his mom wanted his brother to go to law school, and he had to pick up the slack after his dad died, and he didn't complain, and he's not going to complain. I would do it a million times over. But when he finally has a reason to live or a reason to have his own life, I get it, man. Family dynamics are all about routine and all about patterns and repeating patterns.
Change is hard.
Extremely hard, and especially in a super repressed Catholic family.
Oh, yeah.
With a hugely domineering mother.
Irish Catholic family.
Oh, my God. Yeah, the 80s. There are few films like this.
Yeah.
These tiny little romantic comedies, these neighborhood comedies, I guess, is what I would call them.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It's a neighborhood. It's a small little section.
Yeah.
Everybody knows each other. They go to the same pub.
Yeah, everybody knows each other.
Everybody's in each other's business. I love movies like this. I love where every character is a character. And
little slice of life.
Exactly. And when done right, they're so much fun to watch. And again, I don't think that there are many movies that have done this type of comedy romance better.
No, I agree. And I movies like this are almost impossible to find now. I mean, I can't think of anything.
And this movie is impossible to find now.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate.
You can't get it on any streaming service. A DVD is upwards of $60.
Yeah, they released it once, and then that was it.
It's a crime, man.
It is a crime. I will say I have never, up until yesterday, I'd never seen this movie. I generally stayed away from Chris Columbus stuff because I was very angry about Rent.
Destroyed by Rent.
Which I don't even like Rent, but like...
You keep saying that, but I think it might be your favorite thing.
It was just not directed well. But I will say is that we have now discussed Chris Columbus on 10 episodes.
Oh my goodness.
And it's not always stuff that he has written and directed,
right.
But like actors will be in like a movie he did or whatever. But we've definitely covered him a lot more than most others, but I will say that he keeps proving me wrong.
Yeah.
Like I'm mad about it because like I don't want to like him, but this is so good.
I think Chris Columbus was a better director earlier in his career.
I agree.
Think a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times, hungry artists are better artists. And once you get all of the acclaim and you get comfortable and people are coming to you and you get to do whatever you want and you're worried about, what's for lunch today? And my beach house is...
I defy anyone that watched Only the Lonely and believe the fact that the guy who directed Only the Lonely also directed Bicentennial Man.
Ugh, I forgot about that one.
It is night and day, and I agree, and I will say that I didn't like the first two Harry Potter movies, and then I saw them again the last year, and they're much better than I remember.
Sure,
but I agree with you. I think that he was a lot better when he was younger and more eager and less like getting into executive producer mode and like kind of just coasting through.
I also feel that this might have been kind of a personal film for him.
I agree.
And he put a lot into it, and it is probably the best writing he's ever done.
Yeah.
In my opinion. The depth to the pain that the characters go through for a comedy.
Yeah.
The reasoning behind Maureen O'Hara's constant pushing people away because she's so afraid of being abandoned that she forces people to choose. And if she's horrible and they choose to be with her, then she knows that they love her.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the whole point, when John Candy talks about the dinner with his dad, the client dinner.
Yes.
And his mother's anti-Semitic.
Heartbreaking.
Her reaction, the anger, the pain, the shame.
Yeah.
That's why Maureen O'Hara deserved every Oscar
for that. Oh, my God. She's so good.
John Candy deserved every Oscar for that.
Yeah.
Ally Sheedy, same. These performances were so grounded. It's the most grounded comedy he's ever done, too.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
There's no real shtick in it.
No, he's just a guy.
Yeah.
He's just a guy that suddenly found somebody he could potentially spend the rest of his life with.
Like, the closest to slapstick stuff is him using his bulk to hide Ally Sheedy from the mom, which is so great.
But that was also really believable.
That was totally believable.
It was so believable.
Totally
it worked
believable.
so well.
Films like this absolutely break my heart because I want everybody to see it.
Yes.
And everybody who's seen it, I want you to remember how great a movie this was and watch it again. The saddest part about Sweet Candy Month is the fact that the three of these movies are so hard to find.
I know. It doesn't make any sense.
Are we erasing John Candy?
We shouldn't be.
You know?
It just, the streaming has gotten so ridiculous. Although, granted, even before that, I mean, it only had the one DVD release.
Yeah.
Then I think it had a double feature thing when DVD sales started going down, and they were like, "We're gonna make more money."
Or something.
Yeah. I don't remember what it was, but it's just one of those movies that, like, I this morning realized that I'm mad at myself because I didn't see this movie for 33 years, and I missed out on watching this movie for 33 years.
Yeah, it is rare to find a movie like that. It is rare to find something, and that's the beauty of this show. Is sometimes, you know, we get a Remo Williams that doesn't quite live up to the hype.
Or
a Highlander, or a Hot Pursuit.
Yeah.
But sometimes we get an Only the Lonely, and that makes up for all the other ones because this is something that I want to see every year. I want to do a yearly.
Yeah.
You know, maybe a sad sack Valentine's Day viewing of Only the Lonely. Me and the cat every year.
I wanted to buy this on physical media so bad and cannot believe that the DVDs right now, and I didn't do very much research, but the DVDs right now are going for $60 on Amazon, which just blows my mind.
Yeah. We need a comedy streaming channel that preserves old comedies.
It's just funny because, like, I didn't know anything going into this. Mm-hmm. In fact, I didn't even realize until I started writing the script that it was written and directed by Chris Columbus.
Yeah.
I turned to Jim and was like, "Did you know?" and I was like, "What?"
Secretly sabotaging you.
After Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the 1978 Invasion of the Body Snatchers, this might be my favorite movie we've ever covered.
Wow.
It was very rare for me to sit down and watch a movie and then be like, I want to sit down and watch this again right now.
Again, I think time, like wine and, I don't know.
Cheese.
Let's say wine and cheese. Two of my favorite things. This movie has aged better. Also, there hasn't been, let's be honest, there hasn't been a lot of really great down-to-earth romantic comedies in the last 30 years that I can really think of.
No, they all needed shtick. They all had to have some gimmick.
Well, and it's also like the battle axe mother or the super lazy son who lives at home.
Right.
There's always some gimmick or bullshit to it that doesn't really explore the true machinations of a Catholic guilt mother-son relationship.
A poor guy that's almost 40 who has never been able to live life for himself. And this movie captured that perfectly.
Yeah. Even Jim Belushi.
No, not even Jim Belushi.
All right.
Not even Jim Belushi. I can't give any credit to Jim Belushi for any of it. Although I will say he was cast very well because he does come off as quite the dick in the movie.
Yeah, that best friend that you're stuck with, the work best friend.
Yeah, that you have to. It's just like, oh, great.
Because he was just gross. He was the gross part of the movie. And it made sense. You know, he was the married guy who's, you know, wants to live vicariously. But he was the only kind of stereotypically dumb part of the movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I would have much rather seen a more well-rounded friend.
Right. Somebody that maybe was happy in his marriage.
But you know, on the other hand, too, it seems as though John Candy is a victim of circumstance in this movie. Yeah. And it seemed to me, well, he's my partner, so I guess he's my best friend.
Yeah. He's the guy. He's the guy I'm going to hang out with because it's the guy that I'm around. Yeah.
During the movie, he also came to the realization that Belushi's a bit of a douche.
Yeah. He really did. I mean, I mean, he doesn't. It was just amazing how everybody around him didn't want him to change, and it was just such a relatable character.
Yeah,
you know, it's like knowing that. It's like, yes, I can do everything I can for everybody else, but the second I want something, then people are like, oh no.
Well, people like to keep people where they are.
Yeah.
It's safe. You know, I've told the story a bunch of time in the business, working with friends, instead of, you know, you doing great work for them and them elevating you to the next level and being like, no, they want to keep you where they are because your prices are low.
Yeah.
And you're a very reliable, talented person that they get for nothing.
Yeah.
So, why would I elevate you when I can use you?
Right, exactly.
And I think people who are good people tend to feel guilty about not helping people.
Right. Oh, yeah.
It was I was a people pleaser, man, and it was tough getting out of that. It was tough getting out of putting the pressure on myself to make sure everybody was okay.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's exhausting, and it doesn't work.
No. Yeah.
And it's an easy way to ignore your own problems. And
that is very true.
And then if you're focusing on everything for everybody else, then you don't have to worry about your own problems. And that's a big thing with Danny Muldoon. He was focusing on everybody else's problems, but the one look, that one lovey look with Teresa.
when they had to pull the dead guy out of the bar. It was so weird.
And it wasn't a meet cute. It wasn't
the best line. Yeah, he died yesterday and he's sitting at the bar. It was like, oh my God. The look on all their faces of like, oh my God, like this is really happening.
And then they understood it because it's like,
they had to.
It happens all the time.
They made a promise. And
everybody gets a double for free.
Yeah.
Oh, those Irish.
But this is really the beauty of this writing because, I mean, Maureen O'Hara in this, Danny's mom, is very similar. Like, she doesn't want to change either. She has the ability to go with Anthony Quinn, literally the next door neighbor, change almost nothing with her life, but potentially being a little more happy, and she won't do it.
Yeah.
She won't do it because it's too different.
Well, it doesn't align with her prejudices.
I know. She was very much in that, yes.
She's a very proper woman.
Ignorant Irish woman.
It's not just Irish, baby. It is the generation. And that's the thing is I know, you know, when we get to talking about Maureen O'Hara, these are people that grew up during the Depression, World War I, World War II, and they grew up also as Hollywood royalty.
Right.
So it's always different. But yeah, look, if you haven't seen this movie, you're really missing out. It is an amazing film.
Don't be me. Don't wait another 33 years to watch this movie. It's so good.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it.
All right, let's get into it. Take yourself back to 1991.
Yeah.
May 7th, in Macon, Georgia, a judge dismisses a wrongful death lawsuit against Ozzy Osbourne. The suit was filed by a local couple that believed their son was inspired to attempt suicide by Osbourne's music.
Yeah, I was going to do an Ozzy, but it didn't seem appropriate for the suicide thing. There were so many of those suits. Judas Priest, was it? Where the kid blew his face? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That story of the kid who killed himself, quote quotes, because of Judas Priest, didn't kill himself, but put the shotgun under his chin and just blew his face off and lived.
Yeah.
And had just no...
Yeah, I mean, he was the inspiration for Assface in Preacher.
Oh, my God. Poor guy. But that's... Well, how horrible is that, man?
Awful.
You think life was really bad before?
Awful.
My God.
There was a lot of it. And God knows Ozzy Osbourne had a horrible reputation of doing the crazy things and all that stuff. So, I mean, yes.
I guess people didn't put the correlation between people being really depressed and upset and listening to very depressed and upset music.
Right.
It's got to be one leads to the other. Cause and effect.
No, he was perfectly fine before he started listening to that evil music. May 16th, Elizabeth II becomes the first British monarch to address the U.S. Congress during a 13-day royal visit in Washington, D.C. May 21st, at an NBC network affiliate managers meeting at New York City's Carnegie Hall, Johnny Carson announces that he will be stepping down as the host of The Tonight Show within May of the following year.
Yes, really wild, wacky stuff. I'm going to step down from the shoes of The Tonight Show, and I'm going to appear on The Simpsons.
Yeah.
And then I will die.
Yeah. You will not hear from me for 10 years, and then I will die.
Johnny Carson was the master.
Oh,
the
amazing.
Master.
Absolutely amazing.
I try to watch clips of Johnny pertaining to our shows. Mm-hmm. If we're doing Burt Reynolds, I'll watch Burt on there.
Sure,
I watched Candy and Maureen O'Hara talk to Johnny.
Promoting Only the Lonely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Real fun interview. But Johnny was the master.
Oh, yeah.
And that 70s, 80s Johnny, most 70s, was what made me want to be in show business. It looked like the most fun club ever to be in the world. Just a bunch of dudes goofing and having fun.
He is so eminently likable.
Yeah.
Like, just the charm and charisma that comes off that man is incredible.
Would just go along with it. Reynolds would come out and throw a pie in his face or take whipped cream and put it on him.
Right.
And then instead of being like, a stick in the mud, he would put it on himself again. He was the one who put it in his pants because it was funnier. And then put it on Reynolds' crotch and wiped it down.
Carson and O'Brien, man, it's all about whatever's the funniest.
Those
Doesn't
guys
matter. Yeah.
are the masters.
Yeah.
Conan O'Brien.
If it gets to laugh, then it was worth it.
Well, they were made for that job.
Yeah.
And they're not, like, Fallon is a desperate little boy, in my opinion.
He's just not.
Can't watch him.
No.
And, the other guys are fine. The only one I really like at this point is Seth Meyers.
Yeah. I don't mind Jimmy Kimmel. Like,
Kimmel's
he's fine.
Good, yeah.
He can do pretty good interviews, too. But I don't watch him anymore.
No,
so
it's hard to watch any of them. I mean, John Oliver doesn't count.
No. May 24th, Only the Lonely is released in theaters.
Only the Lonely. God, every movie back then, especially Chris Columbus or John Hughes, had to use that old doo-wop or the old...
Oh, yeah. Well, there was the throwback. It was the stuff that they listened to growing up.
It worked for this movie, though.
It did. It really did. I mean, as much as I'm not a huge Roy Orbison fan, it worked perfectly for this movie.
Considering the titles were the same?
Considering he stole the title from Roy Orbison.
What a coincidence.
So Only the Lonely starts with Chris Columbus, who wrote the script sometime in 1987 or 1988.
Not the Chris Columbus who allegedly discovered America.
Wait, he didn't discover America in 1989?
No.
Okay.
It was 1492, and it was his dad.
And he sailed the ocean blue? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then he discovered a place where there was tons of people here already.
Yes, yeah. Discovered in quotes.
Yes. Sorry if you couldn't hear the sarcasm in my voice.
We're not Columbus fans.
Columbus wrote the script as a comedic take on the television play and later feature film of Marty, written by Paddy Chayefsky. Which we talked about a little bit during our Altered States episode.
Right.
If you want to hear more about Marty, the feature movie that he based off of the TV play, as they called it, won Best Picture, and Ernest Borgnine won the Academy Award.
Yeah.
And, like, it was a huge deal. But very similar story about a lonely
mama's boy
who wants to find love and then gets has to face all these obstacles. And Columbus had just released Heartbreak Hotel, which he wrote and directed in 1988. Heartbreak Hotel starred David Keith, and Tuesday Weld, and was about a fictional kidnapping of Elvis to save him from the decadence of Vegas.
What?
Do you remember Heartbreak Hotel?
Not a bit.
Neither does anybody else, because it made only $5.5 million from a $13 million budget. Apparently, it was panned, and it was not a good movie. There's some legend that Elvis one night got kidnapped by somebody after he had gone. He did his big comeback in Vegas, and he was there for 4 years. Somebody kidnapped him, tried to get him to go back to his roots. The movie did not do well.
Fine.
Yeah,
that's weird. I might have seen it.
You probably have.
I was a huge David Keith fan, strangely
yeah.
enough. Yeah. I love the David Keith.
They are not
Both of them.
same.
No,
Yes.
they're very opposite.
They are very opposite. Shortly after this, Columbus was hired to direct National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, but ended up quitting after realizing that working with Chevy Chase was a non-starter.
Yeah.
They did one read-through, roundtable read-through, and then literally within the hour, Chris Columbus quit.
Yeah, Chevy Chase doesn't seem like the greatest human.
Nope. We did also cover National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. We talk about it more in that.
Yeah, last year.
It was so long ago. Sadly, because of the combination of these two events, every studio passed on Only the Lonely.
That's a shame.
Nobody wanted to make it. John Hughes, who had hired Columbus to direct Christmas Vacation, offered Columbus Home Alone. Home Alone would make $476.7 million off of an $18 million budget, and is still the highest-grossing live-action comedy of all time.
Crazy. Incredible.
It's amazing to me that there hasn't been anything since then that's been more. I really thought The Hangover or something was going to do that, but it did
Tropic
not.
Thunder or something.
But no, not anywhere close.
40-Year-Old Virgin.
It just makes you realize that comedies are just constantly pooped on all the time.
Well, yeah, but comedy is super hard, and it's these lightning in a bottle comedies like Home Alone that are the ones that kind of stand out and
right
start to find. Although this didn't define the genre, thank God, because then we would have had just a bunch of crappy slapstick kid comedies. We had a few, but
Home Alone was a juggernaut, and we'll talk about it more at the end. But it was still in the theaters 5-6 months later, still in the theaters when Only the Lonely came out.
Crazy.
Yeah. 20th Century Fox then begged Columbus to do another movie with them, and Columbus pulled out his Only the Lonely script.
Right out of his pants.
He did. He kept it in there for safekeeping.
just wait for that moment so he could do it.
Have I got a script for you?
What? Oh, it's a script.
Sorry, that was my wiener. Put it in the back. Okay. Their one condition was that John Hughes be involved in making the movie. The 20th Century Fox understood that John Hughes was obviously making them a lot of money.
Right.
So they insisted he be involved. Hughes agreed to produce the film, and it was greenlit. This is only one of two films that Hughes would produce that he did not write. The other was Newport South in 2001, written by his son James.
What?
Yeah. Came out in 2001. It was not good. Newport South would be the final movie he would produce before John Hughes died in 2009.
His son killed him with that bad movie.
It took 8 years of that movie, but yes.
Slow motion murder.
Newport South was not done well.
It's a movie I'm writing. Slow motion murder. It's about a snail.
When you do it in normal speed, it's actually 2 minutes long.
Yeah, exactly. You know who's going to direct it?
No.
Snyder.
Oh, of course.
Because it's slow-mo.
Because it's slow-mo.
It'll be 4.5 hours long.
Slow-mo murder. Oh, God. So they cast John Candy as Officer Danny Muldoon. Candy had worked with John Hughes 7 times before Only the Lonely. Did not realize they worked together so often.
Well, a lot of them were cameos,
yeah. National Lampoon's Vacation, where he did a cameo. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, an uncredited cameo, and She's Having a Baby as the character he played from The Great Outdoors.
I totally forget that. I need to watch that movie again.
It's in the credits, like it was a thing. And again, we talked about this during our Great Outdoors episode last week, so listen to that as to why they were in that movie. The Great Outdoors, they did together Uncle Buck, Home Alone, and an uncredited cameo in Career Opportunities, which I keep forgetting is a John Hughes movie.
Kind of the end of the era for him.
Yeah.
I remember that coming out and just not doing well.
I really liked Career Opportunities, but I think it's because I had a huge crush on
Jennifer Connelly. Of course, everybody did. But the kid
she wore a tight white shirt. I mean, what?
The kid was horrible.
Frank Whalen?
Yeah. Not him was horrible, but his character, Jimmy.
His character was despicable. He
was a lying, gross...
Yeah.
The whole thing was just gross.
It was weird.
And it was this weird combination of trying to be a grown-up Home Alone because of the robbers coming. It was just a mess on top of a mess.
It was.
With a very beautiful ingenue.
Yes.
Just go watch with that David Bowie...
Labyrinth?
Puppet movie, yeah.
Oh my God, I would much rather watch Career Opportunities than Labyrinth.
Really?
Yeah. I was not a big fan of Labyrinth. So, of course, Candy would be perfect for the lead of Only Lonely. Candy was in 4 other films in 1991. Man was working like a maniac.
He had to. He had that sports team to...
He had to pay off.
They have a hockey team?
No, it was a Canadian football team.
Even dumber.
The Toronto Argonauts.
Oh, come on, John.
Yeah. Yeah. That was during that interview with Johnny Carson, it was so great where it was so obvious that he was like, I made a huge mistake. Like, this was such a bad idea. I love sports and this is so expensive. When you just signed that big star guy. How much was it? $26 million. He's like, $26 million for 4 years? For 4 years! Like, it was like, yeah.
For Canadian football, by the way.
Canadian football, yeah.
John.
So the other 4 movies he was in were Nothing But Trouble, the weird directing debut of Dan Aykroyd, playing dual roles of brother and sister Dennis and Eldona Valkenheiser.
Yeah, the directing debut and end of his career.
The single. But I always forget that, I always forget that John Candy's in that movie and that he plays the 2 characters. The woman he plays is so bizarre.
And disturbing. It's so disturbing.
The whole movie's weird.
Well, the character that Aykroyd plays, the judge, is absolutely disturbing.
Oh, God. All of it. The whole thing
The whole thing is so weird.
It's just a weird concept for a film.
Between that and Neighbors and something else, Dan Aykroyd is the weirdest MFer on the planet. I wish I could vacation in his brain for about 3 days. It would be like the greatest drug trip ever.
You would come out like the kid from The Jaunt, the Stephen King novel. You'd come out and just be like, I saw everything. Everything.
I would love it.
He was also in Career Opportunities, which we just talked about, and in an uncredited cameo as the manager of the Target store. That was written by John Hughes. I don't remember who directed it. It was not John Hughes.
I also forgot that it was just a giant commercial for Target.
It was a huge commercial for Target, yeah. He was also in Delirious, which was lambasted by the critics and was a box office flop.
Is that the one where he's the soap opera writer and he ends up being in the soap opera?
Yes, that is that one, yeah.
It's not horrible, but again, the whack comedies that they put him in were just not up to his caliber of talent.
No,
they forced him into these garbage movies, playing these over-the-top characters, or playing a leading man where he's not believable as a leading man, if that makes sense.
Yeah. They're not a very well-written characters.
No.
Like, they're very two-dimensional characters.
And making John Candy unlikable is a crime.
Yes.
And very hard to do, but a lot of these movies, they were just dumb, bad characters for him to play. It's not his fault.
Yeah.
There was always something in every character that he played that you could enjoy.
Yeah.
Even the worst ones, but they just didn't know what to do with Candy.
No,
his entire effing career, man.
There were a lot of people in Hollywood that still thought that he was a sketch comedy actor, and he was so much bigger than that.
And couldn't look beyond his weight.
Yeah.
Always. John Candy has to lose weight.
You're got to be the funny guy. You're going to be the funny guy. You're the big funny guy.
And the poor son of a bitch was perpetually on a diet.
Yeah.
And not just a diet, these crazy diets.
Yeah.
The fad diets that went from the 60s, 70s, and 80s were so self-destructive.
Yeah.
So destructive to people.
So that same year, he was also in JFK in what would prove to be his most serious role.
Hey, Jimbo, I got a Jim Jam on the flim flam. I ain't coming down, buckaroo. Oh, come on, man, daddy-o. Flim de floobity, sap sap de boop, ship shabba dabba dabba dim dam dooba.
I do not remember him in this movie at all.
There's an exact quote.
I know there's like a billion actors in this movie.
He plays a club owner that JFK goes
now
to
that
see.
you say
He's
that.
got those little sunglasses on. And
yes.
my silly little impersonation, he was doing the beep bop
Yeah,
sheep
he was
bop.
kind of
Come on, Jimbo.
Yeah.
And it was a great part. Again, one of the things that breaks my heart because he was starting to get that career. He had paid his dues, like Eugene Levy and all these SCTV guys that had to just wallow in these laborious, awful movies.
Right.
Rising above the crap because A, everybody loved him.
Yeah.
B, everybody wanted to work with him. And C, all of us wanted to see him.
Yeah.
I did all of the ABs.
You did. Good job. There? Congratulations.
Yes. New Year's resolutions. Yes, thank you.
In 1992, Candy was in Once Upon a Crime, directed by his SCTV alum Eugene Levy, co-starring Richard Lewis, James Belushi, Sybil Shepherd, and Sean Young.
Barely remember.
I definitely did not see this. The movie was a huge box office flop, making only $8.6 million against an $18 million budget.
People were not glomming onto the SCTVs.
No.
It's so weird.
It doesn't make any sense. Candy would find a hit in 1993, starring in Cool Runnings about the Jamaican Olympic bobsled team, earning just under $155 million against a $17 million budget.
I think it's law that you have to say, Cool Runnings, man.
Sure.
That movie was great.
The movie was fantastic. It was one of the best feel-good movies of all time.
Because he's one of the most feel-good human beings of all time.
He is.
And it was the perfect casting again. Him as this hapless, sweet guy.
Make this work.
And he did. It was great. I really enjoyed that movie. I'm sure it's probably problematic. I haven't seen it in decades, but
I don't think I've seen it in 30 years.
Probably.
So,
But I am psyched when we do another Candy month.
Yeah. Candy made his directing debut with a TV movie called Hostage for a Day, starring George Wendt. It was released in Canada on April 25th, 1994.
Okay.
So he's very busy. He was very busy, but made his directing debut. Candy was contractually mandated to make Wagons East due to his existing contract with Carol Co. Pictures from their scrapped John Hughes film Bartholomew vs. Neff, in which Candy was to star with Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, I was going to play Neff. When I got the script, there was a lot of syllables in it. I couldn't do it. Because I'm dumb guy.
Would not be surprised if that movie fell apart because of Stallone.
Yeah, it was okay. I got to do stop on my mama's shoot. That's going to be a big hit.
Despite his misgivings about the script and due to the fact that he owed more than $1 million due to his stake as a minority owner with the Toronto Argonauts football team, Candy agreed to make Wagons East in Durango, Mexico.
He was so out of shape. He was just not in any shape to be doing an outdoors, riding horses Western movie. No. It was not. This is the problem with Hollywood. There is absolutely no care or concern about human beings. It's whatever makes money, and you're going to do what we tell you to do, or we'll ruin your career.
You signed a contract, so this is it.
Don't care if it kills you. If it kills you, then it's better for us, because we get insurance money on top of the box office. And if you die, we'll probably even get more box office, because you're dead.
It co-starred Richard Lewis, John C. McGinley, Ellen Greene, Robert Picardo, Rodney A. Grant, and Ed Lauder.
Wow. I love Ed Lauder, though. He's a great character actor.
I mean, these good actors.
John C. McGinley is great.
Yeah. Well, Richard Lewis and Robert Picardo are both really good.
Ellen Greene's good, too.
Yeah. I don't know who Rodney A. Grant is. Otherwise, I think he's pretty good, too. Near the end of production, while shooting on location in Durango, Mexico, Candy would have a heart attack and die on March 4th at the age of 43.
God damn it, man.
He tended to binge eat in response to professional struggles and weighed more than 275 pounds at some points in his life.
I think he was at his heaviest at this point.
Yeah. Candy had a number of risk factors for heart attack, including strong family history. His father had died prematurely of a heart attack, although his children say he was unaware of his genetic risk. He smoked a pack of cigarettes a day. He had obesity, alcohol abuse, and cocaine use.
We really hadn't put genetic factors into the mainstream at that point in terms of, genetic.
Like it being a much larger factor than anyone realized?
Like heart disease and, all that stuff. It wasn't necessarily put together.
Right. Candy was set to leave that morning. The morning he was found dead by co-stars Richard Lewis and Robert Picardo. Lewis and Picardo both broke down crying outside Candy's trailer. Following Candy's death, Carol Co. received an insurance payout of $15.3 million.
I wonder how much of that went to the kids.
Zero.
Right.
The film was completed by using CGI, a body double, and script rewrites to finish Candy's remaining scenes. Wagons East was released on August 26, 1994, and sports a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
God, we were all so pissed. We were all so pissed that movie killed him, and we were all so pissed that they released it.
Bad. Yeah, it shouldn't have been released.
And that it was bad. Yeah, but it was such a slap in the face to him. Such a slap in the face.
It would only make $4.4 million in box office. Although, surprisingly, this wasn't Candy's final film release. Candy shot Canadian Bacon in 1993, written and directed by Michael Moore, co-starring
Alan Alda, Bill Nunn, Kevin J. O'Connor, Rhea Perlman, Kevin Pollak, G.D. Spradlin, and Rip Torn. Ooh, Bill Nunn again.
Bill Nunn, yeah. Originally, Polygram Filmed Entertainment had arranged for the film to be released by MGM in the fall of 1994. However, Polygram later started its own distribution company, Gramercy Pictures, with Universal Pictures in the summer of 1993, and battled with MGM to get the distribution rights back from them. It was all just a bunch of contract legal bullshit.
Right.
Gramercy ultimately gave the film a limited release in 1995 before essentially taking it straight to video. It would make $178,104 in box office against an $11 million budget. No word on what it made in video. It was panned by critics and is currently Michael Moore's only fiction film.
Yeah, wasn't it about Canada and the United States going to war?
Yeah,
over some stupid thing?
Some stupid thing where they're going to war. Yeah,
stick to docs.
Yeah.
Because you ain't got the chops.
Yeah, it was not very good. Maureen O'Hara was cast as Rose Muldoon, the controlling mother of Danny.
Danny.
She's so good. God, she's so good. It's amazing to see somebody on screen that you just know are so... Like, to see somebody that's so professional at what they're doing.
Right.
She made a splash by starring in Jamaica Inn in 1939. The movie was directed by Alfred Hitchcock and co-starred Charles Laughton, who insisted she have the part.
The best line in it is, Jamaica Inn? Jamaican me crazy! That was the tagline.
She had auditioned when she was 19, and they didn't want her, but Charles Laughton, the star, was like, she has to be in this movie. It was pretty much her entire career, Charles Laughton.
Did he have a crush on her?
I mean, I assume. I mean, it was 1939 in Hollywood, probably.
And she was 19?
Yeah. In 1941, she begged her agent to get a role, however small, in John Ford's upcoming How Green Was My Valley. The movie would end up winning the Oscar for Best Picture and became O'Hara's breakthrough role. She would end up working with John Ford on 4 more films.
Oh, yeah.
In 1947, she starred in Miracle on 34th Street, which became a Christmas staple. She played the mother to Natalie Wood, little tiny Natalie Wood.
It's a miracle on 34th Street.
And the amazing thing is that I had no idea that was Maureen O'Hara.
Really?
Like, she's so good in this movie. Yeah, no, I mean, I probably in the back of my mind, but like connecting Miracle on 34th Street and Only the Lonely, never like connected those two.
My favorite part, Miracle on 34th Street, is when they find Santa guilty and put him to death.
Yeah.
And Natalie Wood is the one that gets to pull the lever.
Yeah.
And you hear the snap of the neck, and then Maureen O'Hara's just laughing.
It's a miracle that she could reach that high for the lever.
Yeah. And then they just start playing Hail the Herald Angels Sing Glory to...
Natalie Wood turns to the camera and goes, "It's a miracle.
Santa's dead. Jesus lives."
In 1950, she was cast in Rio Grande, directed by John Ford and co-starring John Wayne. She would appear with John Wayne in 4 more movies over the next 21 years. The Quiet Man in 1952, The Wings of Eagles in 1957, McClintock in 1963, and Big Jake in 1971.
Quiet Man is their most famous pairing. Him playing an Irishman.
Yeah.
And her playing an Irish woman. And the scene in E.T. when E.T. and Elliot are having the body doing the same thing, drinking the beer, and he does the dance.
Right.
He's watching A Quiet Man. That's the movie that's on the television.
Oh, okay.
And then he's the dance, the pull and the kiss.
Right.
They're doing the same thing as
Right.
Wayne and O'Hara.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Big Jake is really fun, too.
Of all of these, I remember McClintock. of all of them, yeah.
I watched all these movies with the old man. He loved John Wayne. Oh, everybody's dad or stepdad desperately wanted to be John Wayne.
Of course. John Wayne said of O'Hara,
"There's only one woman who has been my friend over the years, and by that I mean a real friend, like a man would be. That woman is Maureen O'Hara. She's big, lusty, absolutely marvelous. Definitely my kind of woman. She's a great guy. I've had many friends, and I prefer the company of men, except for Maureen O'Hara."
was that John Wayne admitting he was gay?
That's what I was going to say.
I prefer
There's
the
nothing
company
gay.
of men.
Nothing homosexual about a bunch of friends wrestling in the pool nude.
Wow, that was actually a direct quote.
I heard, and it may not be true, but I heard that Ronald Reagan and John Wayne would dress up as women on his houseboat, and they had a lot of young guys that would come over.
Oh, really?
This is what I heard. Now, I'm not sure. I don't know how. Probably not true.
I saw it on Facebook, so it must be true.
But yeah, I used to, when I would want to get to the old man, I would say that John Wayne was gay, and he would get so mad. Well, John Wayne was a cross-dressing gay.
Scooby-Doo.
I wish that would have made him interesting.
Yeah.
Instead of a racist, hippie-hating.
Yeah.
Anyway, the myth of John Wayne.
Yes. Big Jake was shot on location in Durango, Mexico, and shortly after, O'Hara retired from acting, citing her distaste for where Hollywood was going, making dirty pictures that she didn't want anything to do with.
Yeah.
It is to be noted that O'Hara was a lifelong, staunch conservative Republican.
Just like John Wayne.
Yes.
They all were. They came from the Depression and the World Wars and fighting communists.
I'm not going to say they all were, because there were definitely some that weren't.
No, yes. There were,
but there was a lot of
artists,
them that were.
But these big America stars.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were, because they, and then we went to the 80s, being these faux American heroes that are.
Well, it makes sense considering, the fact that they had to fight fascism during World War II.
Right.
It was like, America's the best. And sure, it just, unfortunately, as it evolved and grew, got perverted and.
Well, they were also brought up when people were indoctrinated in this country. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
The way things were taught, the way history was taught, the American exceptionalism,
Sure.
all of that. It was a very different time. But
But
a lot of people did evolve.
Oh, yeah. I did find it also interesting that the movie she retired on was shot in the same place where John Candy died, in Durango, Mexico. I thought it was weird.
It is weird.
Connection. Yeah.
So you think she killed him?
Yeah, it took an extra 23 years.
I'll get you, Candy. I'll get you.
He was in his trailer, and he opened something up, and it was a life-size doll of Maureen O'Hara going, ha-ha! And he had a heart attack.
Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not in the next movie, but in sometime in the next 18 years, I'll get you, Candy. I'll get you good.
Her third husband, Charles F. Blair Jr., was an aviation pioneer and owned an airline.
Okay.
They married in 1968, and unfortunately, he died in a plane crash in 1978.
Irony.
He was flying from St. Croix to the Virgin Islands, I think, and crashed his plane, apparently due to pilot error. It sucked.
And he was flying?
Yes.
Idiot.
Yes. Shortly after his death, O'Hara was named the CEO and president of her deceased husband's airline, making her the first woman to hold the position in the history of airlines.
And then she said, I don't think it's proper for a woman to be running the airlines. It's a man's world. I'll sit down.
In 1978, O'Hara was diagnosed with cancer of the uterus, which had to be removed with an operation, usually called a hysterectomy.
Yeah.
She was greatly affected by John Wayne's cancer during this period, and Wayne reportedly wept on the phone when she informed him that her own cancer had been given the all clear.
I can't believe that you're clear and I'm not, you bitch.
It was all because of Genghis Khan, man. If he hadn't done that goddamn movie, he wouldn't have gotten cancer. O'Hara was instrumental in Wayne being awarded the Congressional Gold Medal in 1979, shortly before his death. She argued that
John Wayne is not just an actor. John Wayne is the United States of America.
And she personally selected the portrait of him to go on the medal. After Wayne's death in June of 1979, she fell into deep depression and took several years to recover.
No.
But this is also, she had a really bad couple of years, man. Her husband died in a plane crash. She had uterine cancer. Her best friend died. That sucks.
Yeah.
Man. Chris Columbus had written the part of Rose Muldoon for O'Hara, but wasn't aware that she'd retired from acting.
She didn't really, it wasn't very ceremonial. It wasn't like she...
No,
I'm retiring.
It was funny because the way she described it in the Carson interview was that her husband was like, well, we should go do this thing. Or they thought, they suggested it and they thought she'd argue. And she was like, no, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
She was
That's
ready
good.
to be done.
Yeah. I mean, she was only 50, 51-ish, She had talked about how, she had been in all these movies where she went around the world and all this stuff. And then she retired and was able to actually go around the world and do all this stuff. And, do it for real. And
yeah. I don't begrudge her.
No. She had been in 100 movies. She had had a very successful career. If she wanted to take time off at 51, go for it, man. Good for you.
And it wasn't as pampery back then, too.
Yeah.
It was hard making movies.
Yeah. It's really fast. I mean, there's a bunch. I could have gone on for hours about Maureen O'Hara. The fact that during World War II, because she became really big before that, and then all of a sudden, all these leading men that she was working with for a few years were just gone. Mm-hmm. They were out fighting, and so she had to make all these really crappy action movies and all this stuff that she was like, I don't want to do any of this crap. But there was no leading men, so she was like, I'm going to do these little crappy movies.
Well, and she was under contract, so she didn't get to pick which movies she wanted to do.
No. But it was just not a very fulfilling time. Columbus ended up getting in touch with her through industry contacts, and she read the script and loved it. Her one condition was that she had to meet with the leading man, John Candy. Within a minute of meeting each other, she agreed to do the picture, finding Candy to be a lovely young man. Talked about how she fell in love with his eyes.
Beautiful eyes.
Yeah. She described Candy as
one of my all-time favorite leading men.
and was surprised by the extent of his talent, remarking that he was a
comedic genius, but an actor with an extraordinary dramatic talent.
Who very much reminded her of Charles Laughton.
Crazy.
The guy who started her career.
Yeah.
That's the highest compliment you can get.
Well, and deserved.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The guy was a genius. I'm telling you, he was one of the most underrated guys ever. And the fact that we can't find any of his movies is just driving me nuts.
I know. On the set of Only the Lonely, the producers stuck Maureen O'Hara in a tiny trailer.
What?
That's actually not true. Sorry. They didn't put in the budget for her to have a trailer.
What?
And essentially telling John Candy went and complained, and he was like, well, we're not. One of the producers, I don't know who it was, I don't think it was John Hughes, was like, well, we're not going to spend a bunch of money on old movie stars. And he was like, excuse me? And then proceeded to give her his own trailer, and then just hung out on set. And they finally broke down and gave everybody a trailer because he was like, F you, that's Maureen O'Hara.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Again, that's why John Candy was too good for this world.
Yeah, he was. Only the Lonely was her last feature, appearing in some TV movies throughout the 90s before retiring again. Her last movie was in 2000. On October 24th, 2015, O'Hara died in her sleep at her home in Boise, Idaho, from natural causes at the age of 95.
It's a good run. I bet you she was a bit upset that this movie didn't hit as much.
I'm sure. Because it seemed very much like everybody. It was a passion project for everybody.
And she was so excited on Carson, and it seemed like they were ready to. It's just a shame, and I don't understand why the critics. There's just times that I don't understand people.
I don't either. Ally Sheedy was cast as Teresa Luna, a worker in a funeral home who is Danny's love interest. Sheedy was part of the original Brat Pack, earning her status through 2 movies released in 1985.
Arguably the best actor of the bunch.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think that's why she didn't do better, because she was a real actor.
Yeah,
and
not just a face.
Fluffy little movie star like the rest of these failed athletes.
Like Anthony Michael Hall.
Yeah, look, Anthony Michael Hall is pretty talented.
He is. No, I'm not. Look, they all have their things. You know, none of them are bad. But I agree. I still think that Ally Sheedy is probably the best of the bunch.
Yeah.
The Breakfast Club was written and directed by John Hughes, co-starring
Emilio Estevez, Anthony Michael Hall, Judd Nelson, and Molly Ringwald.
She was also in St. Elmo's Fire, written and directed by Joel Schumacher, co-starring
Emilio Estevez, Rob Lowe, Andrew McCarthy, Demi Moore, Judd Nelson, Andy McDowell, and Mara Winningham.
I always forget that St. Elmo's Fire was written and directed by Joel Schumacher. Sheedy got her first top billing in 1986 with Short Circuit, about a robot that comes alive.
Number 5 is alive!
Yeah.
I just did that to piss you off because that wasn't in the movie, and it wasn't.
No, it was the very last line of the movie.
Oh, okay.
Number 5 is alive. He never calls himself Johnny.
Johnny
5.
Johnny 5. Johnny 5. Johnny 5 is alive.
Yeah, it was. I actually, Short Circuit was another one that was on all the time. So I like the movie, but it's definitely heavy nostalgia sheen.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure if I watch it again, it's going to be crap.
They should do a buddy movie with Fisher Stevens and Joel Grey, their characters.
And then we can dig up Anthony Quinn, and he can play a Greek again.
Yes.
Sheedy would get top billing in Made to Order in 1987, but the movie was a box office flop. In fact, Sheedy would have a string of missteps that hampered her career. She was in Heart of Dixie in 1989, co-starring Virginia Madsen and Phoebe Cates, which would only make just over $1 million from an $8 million budget.
Not a very good movie.
Yeah. Betsy's Wedding, written and directed by Alan Alda, starring
Alan Alda, Joey Bishop, Madeline Kahn, Catherine O'Hara, Joe Pesci, Bibi Bish, Anthony LaPaglia, Burt Young, and Molly Ringwald.
The movie was so bad that when Joe Pesci was asked about the film in interviews, he just declined to discuss it.
Yeah, I'm not going to discuss it. I don't want to discuss it. No, I'm not going to discuss it.
So, have you seen the Mets
Not going to discuss it. Stop it. You think I'm funny? Am I joke to you? Talking about this?
Give me my pen!
Well, nobody knew what to do with Ally Sheedy.
No.
Because she was an actor. She wasn't as, quote-unquote, gorgeous as the other Brat Packers. She was a normal person.
I would disagree. I think she's way prettier than Molly Ringwald.
I do, too. But I don't think everybody else did. You know, because she played the plain Jane and...
The weirdo in the Breakfast Club.
I think it was hard for her just, Molly Ringwald is playing the prom queen, and she's playing the dandruff...
I know.
Afflicted weirdo. But she was a good actor who was above all this teen crap, but they didn't
Yeah.
know what to do with her.
Yeah. She was also in Fear, co-starring Pruitt Taylor Vince, which was supposed to have a theatrical release, but premiered on Showtime on July 15th, 1990.
Weird. I like Pruitt Taylor Vince.
It was written and directed by Rockne S. O'Bannon, who would create the TV shows Sequest DSV, Farscape, and Defiance.
Do not believe that's his real name.
It is. It's weird. And he wrote for a bunch. He wrote for like Warehouse 13. Like he wrote for a ton of like these like sci-fi TV shows.
Rockne.
There was only 2 movies he did, and one of them was Fear. Fear actually was the last theatrical release he did. But he created Farscape, which is so bizarre to me because I have had the Farscape complete collection for decades and have never watched it.
I've never seen it either. I did watch Sequest DSV because Roy Scheider was the star of that one.
Oh yeah, Sequest DSV was great, and Defiance actually wasn't bad either.
I don't remember Defiance.
It was much later. Sheedy would continue to work, but never achieve the level of fame that she reached with the Brat Pack. She most recently can be seen in the documentary Brats about the Brat Pack, directed by Andrew McCarthy.
I watched that. She has a really good take on it. I think Andrew McCarthy is kind of a spoiled little bitch when it comes to this.
Bit of a douchebag?
Yeah. You know, there's a reason why. It wasn't being in the Brat Pack that derailed your career. It's that you weren't very good, bud.
Was he hanging out with Jim Belushi too much?
But good for her to participate. It was a very interesting documentary because it did affect them. But Rob Lowe was like, I don't care. It was fine with me. You know, my career. People either rolled with it or didn't. And it was kind of a bullshit article, but still, it's you know, there were articles written by a lot of people,
Right.
and you could rise above it.
Yeah. And this isn't to say that obviously Ally Sheedy's she's been working nonstop for 40 years. So like it's not like she's had a bad career. It's just she just hasn't been in the big large projects like she was when she was young.
I think she was on Psych. She was really good in that.
Yeah, I mean she's done a bunch of indie movies. She's won a couple SAG awards. Like she's good.
She's always been a great actor.
Yeah, everything she's in she makes better. I mean that's just fact.
But I also think much like Candy, they didn't know what to do with her.
Yeah. Kevin Dunn was cast as Patrick Muldoon, the brother of Danny.
Kevin Dunn either is so likable or so hateable.
And he's so good.
But he is so good at differentiating. Like, when he's playing hateable, he's effing hateable.
Oh, yeah.
And when he's playing likable, he's super likable.
You want to hang out with him and have a beer.
It is an incredibly rare talent to be able to play both so seamlessly. And he is one of those guys that just makes it look easy.
He does. Everything seems so natural with him.
Yeah, he's just like sandpaper doing a movie. He dulls those rough edges.
Yeah,
and always brings an amazing performance. I've never seen him do bad work.
Oh, that's the scene with him confronting John Candy when they're in the tuxedos, getting the tuxedos, and he easily could have just been a bigger dick, and he realizes that he's like, no, I'm being selfish.
They're brothers. Brothers fight.
Yeah.
And talk to each other like that.
I didn't mean to punch you. Yes, I did.
Yeah. That was right out of the John way.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna punch you. The hell I'm not.
But yeah, it was so funny because we're watching that scene and you're like, punch him! Punch him!
I know. I literally was like, man, if anybody said that to me, I'd punch him. And then 2 seconds later, John Candy punched him.
But he was so believably being punchable.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, he deserved it. He 100% deserved it.
Even with that ridiculously goofy red hair dye job they gave him.
God, it was not good. Dunn is a character actor that made his feature film debut in Mississippi Burning in 1988.
Listen to our Mississippi Burning show.
Yeah.
He was great then.
I didn't realize that was his first movie.
Neither did I.
I'm sure we probably discussed it during the episode, but I don't remember. The year before Only Lonely, Dunn was in 3 movies. Blue Steel, starring Jamie Lee Curtis.
She played a cop. Not a very good movie.
Yeah. Marked for Death, starring Steven Seagal.
Guilty pleasure. Love me some old Steven Seagals.
Not a very good movie.
No.
And The Bonfire of the Vanities, directed by Brian De Palma and starring
Tom Hanks, Bruce Willis, Melanie Griffith, Kim Cattrall, and Morgan Freeman as the racist judge.
Which, funny enough, is not a very good movie either.
No, it is the worst adaptation of that book.
Yeah.
That book was huge.
Yeah.
Came out when I was in college. My roommate got it.
Yeah.
He read it. I read it. The other roommates read it. We all liked it. We couldn't wait for the movie to come out. Oh my God, Bruce Willis and Tom Hanks together for the first time?
Garbage.
Oh.
Yeah. They actually, I think it was MGM or whoever did Bonfire of the Vanities, they finally realized that the way they're going to make money is to put all their movies up on YouTube for free. And of course, like, you'll still see commercials and stuff if you don't pay for YouTube Premium. But they finally realized in 2025 the way to make money is through YouTube.
Warner Brothers did that too. They're dropping all their movies on there.
Or maybe I think it was Warner Brothers.
Yeah,
I think it was. Yeah. But Bonfire of the Vanities was on there because I remember thinking, oh, I should watch this again. It's been a long time. Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that.
The one thing I remember from that movie is the long golf cart ride with Bruce Willis, and he had a drink and he had a carafe.
Yeah.
And he was just getting drunk as they were driving him to some award ceremony or something, and that's all I remember from that garbage movie.
The only thing I remember about that movie is that they managed to make Tom Hanks unlikable, which is very hard.
It's been done a few times.
Yeah. It was just not the Tom Hanks I wanted to see. In 1991, along with Only the Lonely, Kevin Dunn was in Hot Shots, which was written and directed by Jim Abrams of Zaz.
He was great. He was like the trainer or something.
It's been a long time. Dunn would go back and forth with comedy and dramas throughout his career, most notably in 54 episodes of Veep, which Jim still hasn't seen.
I know. It seems so bizarre. It's 100% in my wheelhouse.
You totally should watch it. It's so good.
But I've had to watch 30 Rock 6 times.
Yeah.
So I have no time
Veep
for that.
is Veep is very much in that vein. You should totally watch it.
Well, I need a new sad binge.
Yeah. It's so good. It's so good.
All right, let's put it on the list.
Dunn most recently appeared in an episode of Law & Order in 2023. I'm sure he's got some other stuff coming up, but nothing that's been documented.
He's always in something.
Yeah.
Playing a dad or a judge.
Works constantly.
Yeah, he's just great. He's a great character actor. Completely reliable.
Anthony Quinn was cast as Nick Acropolis, the Greek neighbor of the Muldoons who has a crush on Rose.
Come on, Rose. Why don't you give me the damn of day, Rose?
Quinn started his career in movies in 1936. In 1947, he was in Sinbad the Sailor with Maureen O'Hara. Quinn and O'Hara appeared in 6 movies together, including Only the Lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all worked a lot. By 1947, he'd already appeared in more than 50 films.
Good Lord.
Yeah, he worked a lot. Quinn would be nominated for 4 Oscars over his long career. Best Supporting Actor for Viva Zapata in 1952, starring Marlon Brando, which he won.
That means yay, shoo!
Yeah, he was the brother of Zapata, who was played by Marlon Brando. Brother of Shu, played by Marlon Brando.
Thank you.
Quinn was the first Mexican-American to win an Oscar.
Nice.
Yeah, in any category.
At least it was back in the 50s. It didn't happen in 2001.
1989. Yeah. Best Supporting Actor for Lust for Life in 1956, starring Kirk Douglas as Vincent Van Gogh, which Quinn also won.
I'm Vincent Van Gogh.
Yeah, it's
I'm
weird.
gonna cut my ear off.
I want to say, I think that Quinn played his brother.
I think
again,
so.
Also winning 2 Best Supporting Actors for playing brothers. He was nominated for Best Actor for Wild as the Wind in 1957, but lost to Alec Guinness for Bridge on the River Kwai.
No shame there.
No. And he also got nominated for Best Actor for Zorba the Greek in 1964, but lost to Rex Harrison for My Fair Lady.
And that's the movie that changed his life forever.
Yes. His last movie role was in Avenging Angelo in 2002, starring Sylvester Stallone and Madeline Stowe, released posthumously.
Oh, it's another really bad movie of mine.
Oh my God, it's so bad.
You know, looking back, I probably made more bad movies than good movies. Maybe 2 good movies and 85,000 bad movies. You know why? Because I'm a dum-dum.
Name one other good Sylvester Stallone movie other than Rocky.
Tango Cash.
Oh, sorry, First Blood. Other than Rocky and First Blood.
Tango Cash.
Okay, Tango Cash. All right, he's got 3.
Yeah. 3. There's more than you have, Adam. You have 80.
True. Okay, you're right. That's true.
Got you. Dum-dum got you.
Okay.
Shut up, Sylvester Stallone. Quit calling yourself a
Who
dum-dum.
keeps letting him in here? Okay. Quinn spent his last years in Bristol, Rhode Island. He died of respiratory failure due to complications from radiation treatment for lung cancer on June 3rd, 2001 in Boston at the age of 86. Yeah. His wife asked for permission of Bristol authorities to bury him in his favorite spot in the backyard of his house.
Nice.
Near an old maple tree. They had bought the property in 1995 with a fantastic view of Narragansett Bay, and permission was granted, and he was laid to rest there.
Hey, look, there's something I got to tell you about this property before you buy it. Anthony Quinn's body is here.
Have you seen Zorba the Greek?
He was a Mexican. He wasn't a Greek, by the way. You got to sign a paper that you acknowledge that he was Mexican and not Greek, and that you let him be underneath your tree.
Every once in a while, at the stroke of midnight, you can see him dancing underneath the tree.
I wish I'd
doing
buy
the
that
Zorba the Greek dance.
Oh, that went into a weird place.
That did.
Opa!
Opa!
Shh, I'm breaking
glass.
dishes.
Yeah. Dishes, yeah. Wait, did we just get married?
Yeah, Opa!
James Belushi was cast as Officer Salvatore Sal Buonarte. Sal, he's the police officer that works with Danny. In 1981, along with Only the Lonely, Belushi was in 3 other films. A cameo in Abraxas Guarding the Universe, which we talk about more in our K9 episode.
Yeah, he did that for his girlfriend at the time.
He did.
And he regretted it.
Oh, he did. He was in Diary of a Hitman, starring Forrest Whitaker, Sherilyn Fenn, and Sharon Stone.
I barely remember that.
Yeah. He was also in Curly Sue, John Hughes' final film he wrote and directed before retiring and then
dying
when he died. He died 18 years later. So, I mean, it wasn't like...
It was a slow death.
Yeah.
Curly Sue gave him cancer.
Curly Sue was another one of those movies that was on all the time.
It was cute.
And it was fine. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
When I think of Jim Belushi, I usually think of Curly Sue.
The one scene in Curly Sue that I hate so much, that even thinking about it makes me angry, is they go to a 3D movie, and the woman who starred in it, whose name escapes me, the blonde, she was in a lot of stuff.
Okay.
They're picking at this thing, like 3D thing or whatever,
Yeah.
and it's the most arbitrary, stupid, and annoying thing I've ever seen. And even thinking about it now really annoys me.
Yeah. Like John Hughes didn't understand how 3D worked?
I don't know, man. That movie was real thin anyway. Wasn't he like a homeless guy with a daughter, and then he cons?
He was a con artist, and he cons a divorce lawyer into essentially putting them up, and then he falls in love with her.
Yeah, it was thin.
It was thin.
Girl was cute. Little girl was cute, but
she was really cute. Yeah.
Yeah, this was kind of the end of.
John Hughes realized he had to stop afterwards.
Well, it was also people were kind of like, let's just throw Jim Belushi on TV. We're done with him in the movies.
Yeah.
Just throw him on some TV thing.
It also, I mean, honestly, and we talked about this a little bit in one of our previous episodes, but John Candy dying really, really affected John Hughes. Part of the reason he stopped making movies was because John Candy died.
Well, he was his good luck charm.
Yeah.
I mean, he put him in every one of his movies in a cameo because he was his good luck charm.
Yeah.
And then we're good friends.
They were close, yeah.
John Candy was an anomaly, man. He was something that doesn't come out of Hollywood very often.
Right.
A sweetheart.
Right.
A very good and decent person who isn't corrupted and destroyed by the business.
Right.
He started sweet and he died sweet. And the business killed him.
It did. Yeah, it did. It really did.
100% serious about that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Early in production, Columbus considered auditioning Chris Farley for the role of Sal, as Farley had become popular from SNL, and many were comparing him at the time to John Candy and John Belushi.
He would have been great. He would have been so great.
I would have loved Chris Farley in that role so much more than Jim Belushi.
Because he could have been like a mentor to him and funny.
He was young and just, looking up to John Candy and that would have been so much more interesting.
He's so likable, too.
Yeah.
I love him. I miss him so much. Another guy.
Yeah.
Just when he was starting to get interesting.
However, producer John Hughes refused to have Farley audition, as Farley had previously auditioned for him and Columbus's previous film, Home Alone, in a small role as Santa Claus. Apparently, Farley blew his audition so badly for Home Alone that Hughes refused to have him audition for this movie.
I heard he crapped his pants. I mean, what do you have to do in audition that's so bad that you're blacklisted?
I don't know. I mean, he probably was being weirdo Chris Farley, and then John Hughes was just like, what are you doing? Like, he probably just didn't get that humor, the slapstick weirdo humor that he did a lot of.
Sure.
I mean, whatever.
I would like to know what the reasoning was.
So after that, Columbus asked Daniel Stern to play the part.
Would have been perfect.
Stern loved the script and wanted to work with Columbus on another project, but was persuaded by Billy Crystal to replace Rick Moranis in City Slickers, playing the part of Phil that Moranis was going to play until his wife became terminally ill.
Oh, god damn.
Yeah, that sucks. And we've talked about Moranis before in different episodes, but his wife got really sick and ended up dying from cancer, so he just kind of gave up the business.
Take care of his kids.
Take care of his kids, yeah. Stern regrettably turned Columbus down, sensing Crystal's desperation for him to join City Slickers, and John Candy suggested Jim Belushi instead because Candy was friends with his late brother John.
I don't know. I was friends with his brother. Probably a good guy.
I mean, he's not... Look, Jim Belushi's not bad in this movie.
Jim Belushi is a working man's actor. He does a fine job. I've told you the story a bunch of times.
Yeah.
I did improv. I did an improv class with him. He was super serious about it. One of the greatest improvisational actors I've ever seen or worked with.
Yeah.
Got to give him his props.
According to fans who were around the set, Belushi was difficult and refused to sign autographs or interact with anyone who was not part of the cast or crew.
F you, buddy. F you. Those are the people that pay you. These are the people. Without fans, you're nothing.
Yeah.
And you F any asshole who isn't going to interact with his fans. You can go F yourself.
Yeah, I
because
agree.
you're no bigger than any of that crap. F you, man. I'm hoping that Belushi is softened now that he's a weed dealer, and he's
It seems like it.
He seems like a better person.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I also give him a bit of grace because living in the shadow of your brother for your entire life
It's
has
hard.
got to be
It's hard.
difficult.
Yeah.
You know, and never ever being able to get out from under that. I understand that, but that doesn't give you the right to be an ass.
Right.
I don't.
That doesn't give you a pass.
No.
In fact, you should be less of an ass because you realize how short life is.
Exactly.
Yeah. Belushi will be seen in the upcoming films The Chronology of Water, Kristen Stewart's feature film directorial debut.
Interesting.
Yeah, it looks interesting. I'm not sure what it's about. And then he's also going to be in Song Sung Blue, starring Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson as a Neil Diamond tribute act.
Song Sung Blue.
Which is based off of a documentary about a real couple that apparently some crazy stuff happens.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it looks interesting.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. Macaulay and Kieran Culkin were cast as Billy and Patrick Muldoon, Kevin Dunn's kids in the movie, along with an unknown third kid.
Right. Oh, they're so funny.
It was so great. We were watching it, and Jim was like, "Is that Macaulay Culkin? Like, what's he doing in this movie?"
Yeah, maybe he's going to be an athlete. I don't want any of this. He was so funny.
Oh, maybe a gymnast, and then he falls down.
I don't want any of your crap.
It was great. It was a funny little cameo.
Great, yeah.
It was great to see him.
They had a cameo in the film as a favorite John Hughes. Also, the fact is that between Home Alone and Home Alone 2, which Home Alone came out in 90, Home Alone 2 in 1992, almost the entire crew that worked on Home Alone worked on Only the Lonely
Oh, nice.
and then worked on Home Alone 2. So, like, I think it was just kind of rolling into,
Right.
as they went. Milo
They should have stopped rolling before Home Alone 2.
yeah. They should have taken a year off, taken a gap year to make the script better. Yeah. Milo O'Shea was cast as Doyle, one of the two drinking buddies of Doyle and Spats.
The two bachelors, the two guys said, it's me looking into my future. They're going to find me 3 days after I'm dead. The cat will eat my lips and eyelids.
Ugh.
I'll look very surprised and like I'm smiling.
I kind of want to see a sitcom called Doyle and Spats. With
Doyle
these
and Spats.
Two older Irish guys drinking all the time. O'Shea was an Irish character actor who was nominated for 2 Tonys over his career. In 1968, he appeared as Friar Lawrence in Franco Zeffirelli's Romeo and Juliet and made an appearance in Barbarella.
Yeah.
I remember him from Romeo and Juliet. Like, I remember him being really good in that. He would appear in The Dream Team in 1989, starring...
Michael Keaton, Christopher Lloyd, Peter Boyle, and Stephen Furst.
This was the movie that I don't think we could come up with the title of a
Yep.
couple episodes ago. The Dream Team, about a bunch of mental patients who somehow end up outside.
This is when they were making all these comedies about mental institutions.
Again, The Dream Team was one of those that was on all the time. And I remember watching it so much and really enjoying it.
Yeah, because Michael Keaton's not full crazy. He's just kind of crazy, so we could root for him.
Okay. He was also, Milo O'Shea was also in Opportunity Knocks in 1990, starring Dana Carvey.
Which one is that? That's not the turtle. That's Master
That
of
was Master of
Disguise.
Disguise. That was much later. Opportunity Knocks, I don't know. Dana Carvey was another one of those actors they didn't know what to do with.
Wait, wasn't Opportunity... What's the name of the other John Hughes movie? With
Career Opportunities.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know. I thought the same thing. I was like, wait a minute. No, but Opportunity Knocks, I do not know. I could have looked it up, but it was lambasted. It was not good.
Poor Dana Carvey.
Also had a weird career because they
The
didn't know.
worst, except for Wayne's
Master of
World.
Disguise. No.
But there's another guy they did not know what to do
No,
with.
they did not know what to do with Dana Carvey. Milo O'Shea's final role was as Chief Justice Ashland in The West Wing in 2004.
Oh, yeah.
He then retired and sadly passed away on April 2nd, 2013 in New York City following a short illness at the age of 86.
Not a bad run.
No, he was great. He's one of those character actors that the second you see him, he's like, yes, I've seen him in so many things.
It's so funny now that my mom is in her 80s, 85. I'm like, 80s is really young.
Yeah. Burt Remsen was cast as Spats of Spats and Doyle.
Oh, as soon as you see this guy, you recognize him.
Remsen was a character actor who appeared in dozens of movies and TV shows over his career. He worked a number of times with Robert Altman, including Brewster McCloud in 1970, McCabe and Mrs. Miller in 1971, Thieves Like Us in 1974, California Split also in 1974, Nashville in 1975, Buffalo Bill and the Indians or Sitting Bull's History Lesson in 1976, and A Wedding in 1978.
Yeah.
And I realized that I am so behind on my Robert Altman movies because I did not know any of these were Robert Altman.
Really?
No. I mean, Brewster McCloud and McCabe and Mrs. Miller I've heard of. Did not realize it was Robert Altman.
Really? McCabe and Mrs. Miller, you have to see that.
I'm much more familiar with his 80s and 90s stuff than I was his 70s stuff.
I think most people are.
Yeah.
The Player.
Which is weird because
Shortcuts.
these all sound fascinating. And I knew Nashville, obviously Nashville, Robert Altman, I knew that. But yeah. Remsen died of heart failure in his sleep at his home in Sherman Oaks on April 22nd, 1999 at the age of 74.
Too young.
Yeah. So most of the film was shot on location in Chicago. Danny and Rose Muldoon's house is located at the intersection of Clark Street and Roscoe Street, as is the front facade of O'Neill's Pub, which, ironically, despite Muldoon being a White Sox fan, was about a half-mile away from Wrigley Field, home of the Chicago Cubs.
What?
Yeah, I know. Sports! The inside of the pub was shot at Emmett's Pub, a Chicago landmark that was also used in Uncle Buck, also starring John Candy.
Yeah.
At the request of producer John Hughes, a Chicagoan and big fan of the Chicago White Sox, and sports fan John Candy, the baseball stadium where Danny and Teresa's first date took place was arranged to be set at Old Comiskey Park, home of the Chicago White Sox until 1990. Hughes hastily arranged the filming, shooting shortly after the last baseball game was played there, and it was torn down 6 months later. There's actually the establishing shot of Comiskey Park. You can actually see the new field being built in the shot. Yeah, it's on the right side.
Interesting.
It's way bigger than Comiskey Park.
Well, yeah.
But it was, you could see it. And they let him shoot there. And I want to say it's probably the last movie that was shot there.
Well, considering they tore it down. Yeah.
But I don't know how much other, anyway. The movie's final scene was shot at an Amtrak station in Niles, Michigan, which they renamed Willoughby as a nod to the Twilight Zone episode A Stop at Willoughby.
Cool.
When this film was released, Chris Columbus's previous film, Home Alone, was still playing in theaters.
It's crazy.
At the end of the weekend, this film finished 4th at the box office, while Home Alone finished 11th.
Well, thank God it didn't come behind Home Alone.
I know. In total, Only the Lonely grossed $21.1 million, making it the 60th highest-grossing film of 1991. The movie received mixed reviews from the critics. It was the first film directed by Chris Columbus to receive a positive review from film critic Roger Ebert, and it would remain the last such film for 10 years until the release of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
I give you this one, Columbus. This is the only one. Don't you get all comfortable, Columbus. I'm only liking this one.
I still can't believe he didn't like Home Alone. Probably too much violence.
Yeah.
In fact, Ebert liked this movie so much that 3 years later, after John Candy passed away, he and colleague Gene Siskel did a small tribute to him on a weekly Siskel and Ebert episode, and Ebert named this film and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles as his two personal favorite John Candy movies.
I agree.
I actually agree, too. Those are my two favorite John Candy
Uncle
movies.
Buck, too, but...
I haven't seen Uncle Buck in such a long time.
But the reason why I love these movies so much is because these are the perfect example of why John Candy is such an incredible actor.
Yeah.
The vulnerability that man had as an actor is unmatched.
Yeah. Agreed.
This film did not get good reviews, man.
It doesn't make sense. I don't understand why it wasn't reviewed better. I mean, the movie is really... Again, maybe if I saw this 30 years ago, maybe I would have not liked it.
It was a different time.
Yeah. I mean,
people weren't into these types of slow motion comedies, these slice of lifers, People wanted big bang boom, stop him, mama shoot. It was high concept comedy time too. And little things like this, they fell through the cracks so easily. And I think people were less impressed by something that was so small when they should have been more impressed because it's a much harder thing to put something like this together.
Yeah, this was definitely a throwback to an older type of movie.
Yeah.
And maybe now that's why, it was a throwback to something from 30 years prior. Maybe now 30 years later, that's the reason why it's better now,
All the best comedies, in my opinion, are the comedies that have heart.
Yeah.
The comedies that are sweet in the center. They may be a little bitter when you're sucking that hard candy off of them, but when you get to that gooey, chewy, that gooey, chewy center, that's the heart of your film. And that's why Apatow did well, and that's why the Seth Rogen guys did well, because they learned from Hughes and Columbus that the best way to make a comedy is to find the heart and build outwards.
Yeah. Agreed. Totally agreed. I mean,
And he was the heart of the movie. He was the heart of movies that he was in. He was such a sweet human being that, I was going to say, literally lived with his heart on his sleeve, but he couldn't do that. He would die. Because your heart needs to be in your chest, Adam, where it pumps the blood.
Right.
But he did live his life as a sweet, sweet man.
He did.
Who wanted to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And be the good guy.
Right.
And I don't think it was a choice for him. I think he was just the good guy.
No, yeah. It was him.
And being a good guy in a business that doesn't reward that actually punishes it sometimes, must have been extremely hard. And
it would be very stressful.
100% understand his overeating, his overdrinking, his self-medicating.
Yeah.
The cocaine surprised me a little bit.
Well, I mean, he's still in Hollywood. I wouldn't be surprised.
Everybody was doing cocaine.
I'm not going to say that he had a cocaine habit
Exactly.
or anything like that. I'm sure he was at parties and somebody was like, "Oh, I saw him do cocaine." It's like, yeah, okay, great. I mean, technically, I've done cocaine. Someone could say that about me.
You should be in jail.
Yeah.
I'm so over. Mortal claws shown. No. We lost so much when he died. And not just, a great performance and, funny movies and whatever. We lost an amazing human being.
Yeah.
And I can't think of anybody comparable to him at all in Hollywood.
No, nobody that...
Honestly, Conan O'Brien. Because he just seems to me like a real sweet dude. He loves interacting with his fans to the point where his fans are like, dude, enough.
Yeah.
I think he learned that from John Candy. And I think he appreciates the fact that without these people, he's nothing.
I get that. I totally get that. And I agree with you. But I find Candy to be more approachable.
Oh, sure.
I don't think I'd be able to walk up to Conan O'Brien.
Conan O'Brien is shtick. And he's just shtick personified. And that's not an insult at all.
No.
He can seem genuine while doing his goofy shtick. He does have that armor. Ooh, shabba-dabba-da, keep it
I gotta be the weird to keep you at arm's length.
Entertained. He wants to entertain people, wants to leave everybody with a smile or a laugh. And just, he'll work for it. But I think John Candy didn't have to work for it. He was just a genuinely sweet man who interacted genuinely with you.
Yes. He was just a earnest, real person.
Right. Who would appreciate the love. And
as much as Jim Belushi hated talking to the fans during the shooting of this movie, John Candy was the complete opposite.
Yeah.
He would spend extra time hanging out with the fans and talking to people and signing autographs and just being a genuinely good person.
This movie is the definition of a gem. It is a gem.
Yes.
It is a tiny little gem that has been buried underneath the earth for a while. And so many people I even forgot it existed until we started talking about doing a Sweet Candy Month. Something more down, his more down-to-earth parts. And it is a crime that I haven't seen this movie in 30 years. And I am really sad that I haven't, because maybe when I first saw it, because I don't know if I saw it in the theater. I think I might have saw it on video or Showtime or something. And just kind of been at that point where Candy is kind of where he was,
Yeah.
And maybe he didn't love it as much, but I don't know. I don't know what it is that has turned this movie into one of my favorite little comedies of all time. Just one of my favorite one of these sweet little romantic slice of life movies.
It's just so good. It's just so good, and I think that might be part of the problem because it's hard to really define what this movie is or like how to categorize it.
And that's all three movies.
And it's
this month, I would say. You know?
Yeah, but especially Only the Lonely, it's really hard to categorize it and kind of put it into a box.
Right.
And I think it's because a lot of it's because they just stopped making movies like this.
Yeah.
And I mean, even back in 1991, they stopped making movies like that. It just wasn't a thing.
They didn't care about character as much, and this is all character.
Yeah.
Every single one of the actors in this was a definite character with a backstory, with a well-rounded life behind them.
Yeah.
Some of them ahead of them, some of them none because they died.
It was really incredible. Even like the Doyle and Spats, like they could have just been the little goofy drunk Irish guys that hang out, but they had depth. And they like when the one guy dies, like his friend is heartbroken, and like and it's just like he doesn't. There's nobody here because he didn't have anybody.
No,
and it just.
This is what's going to happen to you, Danny.
Yeah.
Your mom's not going to live forever, and once she's dead and you have no life and you're living in Florida with no friends and no nothing.
What do you do?
You're going to die too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, it's such a good movie. Just talking about it now, I want to watch it again.
Yeah.
It's just such a good movie.
This was one of the biggest surprises for me of the show, where I knew this was a decent movie and I liked it, but watching it again was even more than Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah.
Which I liked Ghostbusters 2 a lot. I still see the flaws and the problems in it, but I would say this is a perfect movie.
I would
very, very
I would
close
say it's
to it.
very close. The only part that really, and maybe I need to watch it again, but the only part that really kind of hitched for me was at the end when they're both not deciding to get married, and then spoiler, they both decide not to get married. I just felt like that could have been massaged a little bit better.
Yeah.
But the sentiment was there, and it was where it had to go.
That's the thing. The beauty of this movie, and we talked about it yesterday, was when they got to the rehearsal dinner, and you have the moment when Rose stands up, but I'm going to give my toast.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, shit.
Oh, God, this is not going to go well.
Everybody says I should take her as my daughter.
As
my daughter-in-law. Well, I will not do that. I will only accept her as my daughter. And then everybody's like, yay, woohoo. Any other movie would have ended there. We would have shown them coming out of the, getting into the limo with some funny shtick of, oh, big chubby guys having a hard time getting in the limo or something over the credits. And because that would have been the lazy ending of any other movie.
Right.
But no, they went further. They realized that you can't solve everything in one night. One little speech, one little turnaround doesn't change 42 years of oppression and Catholic guilt. And that's what was mature about this movie. That's why this was a grown-up comedy. And maybe that's why I didn't enjoy it as much when I was younger. I wasn't at the age to enjoy it.
I think that, yes. I would say that if I saw this when I was like 18, I probably wouldn't have liked it.
I'm Spats or Doyle. I'm the old bachelor who's going to end up dead and alone. And I'm fine with it. But I get it. It's I see it in a different way than I saw it when I was in my early 20s.
Right.
I was again, that was a time too when everything was all slammy. I didn't like that. It was too much motion. Ew, gross.
Yeah.
I was very immature, emotionally.
Why is everyone so vulnerable in this movie?
Yeah, come on, punch me in the face.
I'm gonna go kick a fire hydrant.
Oh, my feelings. I don't know how to express them. But yeah, I do think that the years and the experiences that I've had have really bonded me to this movie in a way that and look, I don't have an overbearing mother that I live with that is controlling my life. I'm not.
You've got me.
Oh boy, yes. Talk about overbearing mothers, mother effers. No, but I get it in a different way, and as you get older too, and you feel your mortality, seeing a movie about a guy who's kind of facing his mortality and is like, well, am I going to live alone with my mother and give my life away for the rest of my life? Or am I going to take my life, take a hold of it, be the captain of my own destiny, and take a shot at happiness?
This is the brilliance of this movie, is that you don't have to be having an unbearable mother. You don't have to have that. And you can still identify with the character.
Yes.
Like, you can still feel the pain they're going through and the growth they're having. Like, this is the brilliance of this script. I 100% agree with you. I think this is Chris Columbus's best movie.
Yeah.
I am blown away by this. And if I ever meet Chris Columbus, it's the only thing I'm going to talk about.
Guilt is universal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Family problems are universal. Love is universal. Pain is universal. Insecurity is universal. So to be able to write something, and especially somebody, let's be frank, Columbus can be pretty thin.
Yes. Yes.
And this is his thickest thing. And you're absolutely right. I would say this is his masterpiece, and it needs to be appreciated.
Yeah. Yeah. If you can find it, I don't want to advocate any kind of illegal downloading, but
If you got to do what you got to do.
You have to see this movie. I find it somewhere. Maybe your library will have it. It might be available on some of the library streaming services. That's possible, but it's not easy to find. But it's so worth it.
You're not going to regret it. You're not going to regret seeing this movie. I've said, look, this seems to be my life now, but I wasn't in the best mood yesterday before we watched that movie, and it changed that.
Yeah, yeah, same,
And
100% the same.
I'm realizing the power of some of these movies it's therapy in some ways, you know?
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with our Stepdad show. We'll talk about all the fun stuff we've been watching during this sweet candy month. Maybe talk some more about some John Candy movies and unrealized projects maybe that we could have had that we wish we'd had.
Such a shame.
God, I would have liked to have just seen his career, like his directing. Like, where would he have gone? He would be an amazing director.
Especially for actors,
Yeah. So, but we'll be back next week.
Donnie, don't you bring that Dago over here.
God, no. No.
Okay.
No.
Donnie. Donnie, is she Sicilian? Yeah, it comes. There, Alan Alda, Bill Nunn, Kevin O. You should have done it. Alan Alda,
I
Bill.
did it once, so it's fine.
We can use it.
And the only other Joel Schumacher movie I can think of was the one with the Tigerland guy in
Colin Farrell?
Colin Farrell stuck in the phone booth. That was Joel Schumacher.
Phone booth?
It was called Phone Booth. Yes.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming, The Wonder Years, already in progress.